So, Ricardo, do you want to go on a quick Target run before we watch Loki? Oh, okay, I see what it is. Yes, Ricardo, but you don't ask me, huh? No, it's because, like, he's a real human and we're stuffed animals, and he's the one with the car, you know? Like, it's kind of his decision. It's stuttering with your lion ass, like you did with that redesign. You know he's always gonna look this beautiful. Timothy, I swear to God, if you start this conspiracy theory bullshit one more time with me. Timothy, what the hell are you talking about? That's not even my name. Will you shut up with your short, ugly ass? Like, what are you wearing, dog? What's on your feet? Yo, knock off Adidas. You're short. You get no Everybody girls. Your movie sucks. You take that back. My movie is good. You know it. Yeah, it's good. For stupid people. Okay, that's not cool, dude.
Oh, alright guys, that's enough. Listen guys, this is freaking ridiculous. If we want a civilized household, we must operate as one true unit, right?
Yes.
Now listen, because it's your guys' movies, you're going to have an inherent bias. You're going to think your movie's better and you're going to think your movie's better. So why don't we have somebody who's neutral on the issue to talk about it?
Yeah, that is a pretty good idea. It is a pretty good idea. Are you mocking me? I'm not mocking you, I'm just saying it's a good idea. See, this is why your movie bombed. How could you say it bombed? It didn't even get a theatrical release. Exactly, it's too bad to be a theatrical release.
What it is that nigga teeth, skin the color dead, riding in.
Recently, there's been a lot of conversation in the Sonic the Hedgehog community about the Sonic the Hedgehog movie. That's right, these two. There's been a lot of debate and chit chat about which is the superior film. Often the Sonic fanbase's opinions change over time collectively. In the morning they could go from loving a thing to hating it by the end of the night. It usually occurs because of the changing landscape of the franchise and the way that the Sonic the Hedgehog movie has verbally been confirmed to have changed Sega's mindset when it comes to Sonic. That's left a lot of Sonic fans feeling a certain type of way. But then you also have the Sonic OVA, which was released over 20 years ago. It was its own creative piece and project and had its own lasting impact on the franchise, and there are very memorable things about it, from different quotes and its simple art style. Both of these are very loved and disliked at the same time in the community. That's a given with any fan base. And with the Sonic movie being able to digest in people's stomachs after around a year, the debate of which is better has started to pick up. Instead of talking about what is more Sonic or looking at it from one angle, I want to look at both of these movies from what makes a good film. These are movies. I want to look at these two as their own pieces of art and what they do good and what they do wrong. This is a Sonic channel, so I'm not always able to talk about it, but I really love to make film. I love to write it. I just love everything that goes into it. I want to make these one day, so I've been studying this ever since I was a little kid, so I do feel like I know a little bit on what makes a good film. And that's what we're here to do today. Find out which is the superior Sonic the Hedgehog movie. The Sonic the Hedgehog OVA from 1999, or the Sonic the Hedgehog movie from 2020. This battle will be divided up into multiple different categories, first starting with story, characters, technicals, Sonic factor, and the film's lasting impact. Then we'll tally up the points in a conclusion, and finally decide which is the superior film. But before we get into that though, I'd like to introduce our sponsor, Skillshare. In film, you not only need to be creative, but you also need to know the technicalities of what it takes to craft a good piece of art. Honing in on that craft and becoming better is something very important, and learning info from others is also very amazing, and Skillshare is the best place for that. With Skillshare, you can join thousands of classes that will teach you exactly what you need to know about the creative skill you're trying to hone in on. I've been peeking in at a bunch of these, whether that's graphic design, writing, and visual effects. I've been on here a lot more than I'd like to admit. Lighting is integral to making a scene look nice in a movie, and this class right here by Dan Liu has done a great job at teaching me the ropes of it. Classes like these work really well. It's worked out for me personally very great, and I'm so happy I signed up. The first 1,000 people who use the link in my description will receive a 1-month free trial to Skillshare Premium. So what are you waiting for? Click that link and join Skillshare today.
Off the floor, that's Giano shoe, what I'm running in.
Having a solid story and script is what I believe is the most essential part of any film. Having a solid foundation to stand on and build on is extremely necessary. There's only so much you could do with your direction and creative flair before the cracks start to show that your actual film doesn't really have any substance behind it. That's where these two films probably differ the most. So let's go ahead and dive into the OVA first and take a look at the film's story. Now I do want to address the elephant in the room. This isn't technically a movie in a way. The Sonic movie's two direct-to-home releases released released in Japan back in 1996 and repackaged as a movie in 1999. But you know what? This is called Sonic the Hedgehog Scrape Your Knuckles, Catch Some Tails, the movie. What the hell is this box art now that I think about it? It was sold to me as Sonic the Hedgehog the movie, and this is being discussed as the definitive Sonic the Hedgehog movie by fans, and I want to talk about it like it's a movie. So no, I'm not going to baby it or give it exceptions. I'm going to judge this as a movie. Even the two separate home releases are part of one continuous story, so it's not like it's just two completely different things stitched together. It's still very much so a movie in a way. The film opens up with Sonic and Tails chilling on the beach, no real introduction to who they are as characters. You're kind of just thrown into this like you should already know about Sonic the Hedgehog, which for fans works, but for a film where some people might not know who Sonic the Hedgehog is or are seeing this for the first time, it's kind of jarring. This owl man pops up and Sonic goes to save him and Tails because they get into a little kerfuffle. He's apparently an aide to the president and needs Sonic's help. I also want to note that this character is blind and he's flying a plane. I just thought I'd put that out there. Sonic and them go on their way to the White House to meet the president, and I thought I'd note that this is, yes, the White House. This movie actually pulls a lot of inspiration from a lot of Western culture, specifically its architecture, such as Robotropolis looking like this, and very clear inspiration from the White House. It's very much so an exaggerated version of America, but I thought it was interesting that they chose that route. Anyways, back to the story. It turns out that Eggman is holding the president and his daughter Sarah, oh boy, we'll get to her, hostage. Good for you, Eggman. Sonic and Tails eventually go to Robotropolis where they eventually fight Metal Robotnik. And then while they fight him, he shoots some glue out of his ass. And then while Sonic and Tails are in danger, Knuckles just comes out of nowhere and is there to save them. Also, no real introduction to Knuckles in terms of his character. I don't know why he's in Robotropolis and there's no real explanation for it. It's really just plot convenience and laziness in the writing. In the distance, they notice this giant city, like weird Eggman amusement park looking thingy. They notice the robot generator and Sonic goes to shut it down right on time, but he's caught inside of this giant force field that grabs Sonic's DNA, which creates Hyper Metal Sonic, the robot that Robotnik has been working on to finally kill Sonic. But Metal Robotnik shows up again, with Robotnik and Sarah showing up. There is no real reason for why he keeps Sarah around with him so closely, but it's implied because he has feelings for her, which, let me just state, I believe Sarah is a minor and Robotnik is a very old man. There are even fantasies and hallucinations about them having children together, which is where this image comes from. But now that Robotnik has Sonic's DNA, he was able to complete Hyper Metal Sonic, and a fight ensues between them. Sonic is presumed to be dead, and Tails and Knuckles take it strangely chill. They go back to Land of the Skies, but they notice that the Owl Man is wearing Sonic's favorite clothes. You know, these things that Sonic's always wearing. I'm not even mad at this, it's just so stupid, and there are a lot of stupid things that make this movie slightly more enjoyable for me. But then they have to shoehorn in this new conflict of Metal Sonic. He's reportedly been causing havoc across the Land of the Skies, but Knuckles reveals that if he wants to do it, he could just go to the North Pole and destroy the bridge that holds it all together. There are a lot of things you can nitpick, but I'm not even sure if it's a nitpick to say that it would be so incredibly simple to destroy this entire planet. I have no idea why there isn't a Guardian or simply a different way of destroying everything. And it's not just that, but the story becomes even more convoluted with all the stuff going on. It feels like there should have been way more plot development and character arcs going on right now. If the world's hero is presumed dead and you have this giant maniac going on a terror across the world, you'd think there would be more consequences or characters going through different things. But instead you have all these different plot lines of these characters doing their own thing in such a short and minimal amount of time to where it all feels sloppy, and by the time that everybody comes together in the third act when Sonic and Metal Sonic duke it out, but instead of all the plot lines coming together and tying up pretty nice, which it could have, it feels more like a 12-car pile up in an intersection. It just comes together awful. But yeah, the third act, Sonic and Metal Sonic duke it out. We all know what happens here. The scene from Revenge of the Sith somehow was predicted here, and for whatever reason Sonic wants to save Metal Sonic, which could have been a really great scene and conflict within Sonic's character, but the reason and motivation behind it does not correlate with the rest of the OVA, not only in the plot but also with Sonic's character. With the way Sonic has been portrayed afraid, he's not the type of person who would want sacrifice or remorse for other people, even his own friends. And yes, Metal Sonic is his DNA, but at the end of the day, Sonic's morals do not align with that. And specifically in the OVA, we're not looking at other media here. This robot has been torturing the world. Why would he want to keep him around? After Metal Sonic does eventually die, the characters take in what just happened, and it leads to one of the most anticlimactic and unsatisfying endings I've ever seen before. This clearly was meant to set up either another movie or a TV series that clearly never got to happen. So that's the story of the Sonic OVA, and I'm not sure if you guys could have told, but there was a lot of cute little weird quirky things that I liked about it, but most of the time there was a lot of really dumb plot conveniences, rushed pacing, and an overall convoluted plot that did not, and I repeat, did not need to be as complex as it was. When I say complex, I don't necessarily mean smart or intricate. I mean there's just so much stuff going on, and the way that the film explains it to you just doesn't make sense. A lot of stuff just either didn't need to be here or needed to be fleshed out way more than it was, such as characters, which we'll get to in a bit. It kind of helps you build the story along further. There was hints that there could have been something more, but it's just kind of thrown away. It's very muddled, it's very cluttered, and it does not make for an enjoyable watch unless you're watching it with one of your friends trying to have a good time. But anyways, yeah, I'm not a big fan of the story or script at all. But let's go ahead and take a look at the Sonic the Hedgehog movie from 2020 and see if it's improved upon these issues or if it's worse. The film opens up with a flash forward scene very reminiscent of stuff like Deadpool. And you're going to be hearing Deadpool a lot referenced because not only is this movie executive produced by the director of Deadpool, but Sonic is basically just baby Deadpool. Anyways, it's the classic, you're probably wondering how I got here trope, which is very lazy and cliche by this point, but I'll let it pass. But then we get to Sonic's world. A little exposition about what his life was like before we get to the main part of the movie that isn't set in this time period. His life is pretty fun, he had a loving, caring parent, before all of that was taken away from him by tyrants called the Echidna Clan, injecting that good old nostalgia juice into the veins of Sonic fans across the world. I think everybody was very excited when they saw this. During the attack, Longclaw and Sonic do run away, but Longclaw gets hit by an arrow before they fall down. She opens up a ring portal where she tells Sonic to run away, to never stop running. She sets Sonic off, and it is implied that Longclaw did die. It's not confirmed because we don't physically see it, but I think it can be figured. A very dark and tragic way to open up your Sonic the Hedgehog movie. I think this shocked everybody when they first saw it, but you know what? It's very much so welcome. Not only does it make you sympathize for Sonic, but I'm also sure it's stuff that people can relate to, and it makes you care about Sonic. He hasn't always had a perfect life. He has maybe reasons for being the way he is. And it does set up the conflict for stuff that happens later in the film. We're then introduced to Tom Wachowski 10 years later. He's the second protagonist in the movie alongside Sonic, and it's established that he's a police officer, and he isn't exactly having the best time. A very charming scene of Sonic messing around with him starts, before we're officially introduced to Sonic as he is today. A charming scene ensues of Sonic with the turtle, and then seeing a bit of what Sonic does in his off time. This establishes a bit more of Sonic's character and carefree attitude, which is the staple of what he is in other media. Some more exposition happens where Sonic finds all of the rings that Longclaw gave him, and that if there's ever danger, he needs to go to a new planet, the Mushroom Planet, which he is not looking forward to. The exposition progresses into the town of Green Hills. They show more of the characters around the town. Sonic's been here for a while, so he's more acquainted with it. But then the central theme of the movie pops up, and it's not what you may think. Sonic, obviously not being able to go around other people, looks after others. He's just very observational, maybe sometimes too much, as he spies on Tom and Maddie, like, a lot. And one night while they're watching a movie, it kinda hits Sonic how alone he truly is. And this is something you'll see throughout the film. The Sonic movie has a lot of scenes where he displays existential depression, and I'm so glad that more media such as film, music, TV has dived into depression. It's something very real and that I think everybody struggles with, and especially Sonic being able to show it existentially not only may help kids but show that you're able to express your emotions. It's not just depression, it's depression caused by loneliness, which I feel also a lot of people have experienced at some point in their life. It's extremely empathetic, and you do feel for Sonic, and it makes him actual sympathetic, lovable character. You want to see him do good, you want to see him happy, because he's had so much of that happiness stripped from him at such a young age. It's something I never thought a Sonic movie would tackle, but I'm so glad they did. While all of that's going on though, it's also established that Tom wants to do more than just being a police officer in this small town, where he does have minimal tasks with no action. He wants to actually help. He wants to go to a big city and help people. He got accepted to the San Francisco Police Department, and they're ready to make the move. During one of of Sonic's episodes, he sets out a giant power gadget that catches the attention of the government, obviously. This is where we're introduced to Dr. Robotnik, the main antagonist, obviously, of the movie, and they're simply trying to hunt down who caused this. We'll get more into Robotnik's character and everybody else's character later. Sonic notices that he's being hunted, so it's officially time for him to leave. He needs to go to a safe environment in order to enact the portal ring, but as he does that, Tom walks in on him. As there's a raccoon problem going on around the house and he thinks that it's a raccoon, it's not, it's Sonic. They have that infamous scene, and as Sonic's going to throw the ring, he sees that Tom is wearing a shirt that says San Francisco. After he speaks the name, the portal goes to San Francisco, and as Sonic gets hit by that tranquilizer gun, he falls over with the bag of rings, falling on top of a building in San Francisco. This is where our adventure begins, and Sonic needs Tom's help in order to get there. This entire road trip is just one giant piece of character development, and it is great. It reminds me a lot of Dumb and Dumber and other road trip movies, which I was scared of, that it would be another buddy road trip movie with a CGI character, but it worked really well. Sonic is knocked out during a bout with one of Eggman's robots, and he takes him to Maddie's sister's house to where he can get fixed up. Some shenanigans occur, it's actually a really funny scene, and then Tom and Maddie help Sonic get to the top of the building. They do get the bag of rings and they're about to say goodbye, but then Robotnik shows up and the climax occurs. It is a very fast final battle in third act in general. In fact, the structuring of the movie is very odd and the pacing is very quick, which is pretty fitting for Sonic. But the day is saved, Sonic and Tom walk off into the sunset, Sonic's basically adopted by Tom and Maddie, and the film ends. Kind of. We get two teasers, one of Eggman on the Mushroom Planet on his way back to Earth, and the other one teasing none other but Tails the Fox for the sequel that will be coming out next year. And that's the story of Sonic the Hedgehog, which I think is a great story about the bonds of friendship, depression, loneliness, and overcoming that. Overcoming evil and not being able to do everything yourself, maybe needing a little friend along the way. It's really solid and way better than it should be. The dialogue is surprisingly well written. The conflict stems from a very real place, not necessarily all based in story, but mainly through the characters, which is why it's been kind of hard to talk about a lot of the finer details of the film, mainly because it's such a character-focused movie, which I'm very happy about. Those are some of my favorites. I understand a lot of Sonic the Hedgehog fans' biggest gripes against the story is the fact that it's not quote-unquote Sonic enough, and don't worry, we have a Sonic factor, but I don't think that a Sonic the Hedgehog movie necessarily needs to take all of its inspiration from past media. Not only do I want this to be its own thing, but I also just don't want a convoluted story mess, something like Sonic Adventure or Sonic Unleashed, which trust me works great in a video game, but believe me, won't work in a film. Maybe a TV show that has more time to tell the story, it just wouldn't work here. This is a Sonic the Hedgehog origin film for a giant film series that's just getting started. I'd like to see the character of Sonic and get to know him before being thrust into a giant adventure. Not everybody knows Sonic, and the versions of Sonic we've had in the past have been very lackluster. This built an entirely new version of the character with a new story and universe. They took different bits and pieces from Sonic the Hedgehog and used it in its own way to tell a brand new story. The film goes by a bit too fast, and I think it could have been a bit longer, which makes the film feel rushed at points, but overall it tackles its themes almost perfectly, giving great conflicts, great moments, and setting up for a very promising sequel. Overall, I think it's very obvious that I enjoy the story of the Sonic the Hedgehog movie way more than the OVA. It's very straight to the point, it's not convoluted, it stems from a much more real place based around characters, and not just plot conveniences thrown at you from nowhere. The OVA is very sloppy, and it doesn't know exactly what it is. While the Sonic the Hedgehog movie does, the OVA doesn't really have a theme or a purpose. It's kind of just there for action sequences and to show Sonic doing things. This is very different. It had a reason, it had a purpose, there was a story to be told, and you can tell that there was genuine passion behind it. I'm not saying that the OVA didn't have any of that, but oh man, does it pale in comparison to this. It might not be Sonic enough, but I'm looking at what's the best story, and in terms of a film, the Sonic movie from 2020 triumphs. So 1 point goes towards the Sonic the Hedgehog movie.
Double C on my feet, double G on my freak, Louis V by my brief. She want kick it with me.
Here we go, baby. This is what I really want to talk about. I love story and I love the scripts, but the characters is what makes this. Sonic at the end of the day is what all of us love and care about, and it's important to get that character right before anything else. Both of these versions have wildly different versions of these characters. Not only different characters as a whole, like Tails, Knuckles, all these other characters being used in the OVA, and then you have the Sonic movie over here with like human characters and stuff like that. It's very different. Same with the interpretations of them, obviously. But unfortunately, I kinda have to dog on the OVA again. Now, I don't hate every character in this story. In fact, I actually like a lot of the characters in the OVA. But unfortunately, the main one that they had to get right, they got the most wrong. And that's Sonic the Hedgehog himself. Unfortunately, when it comes to a lot of Sonic the Hedgehog media, whether that's games, shows, or anything else, a lot of people mistake Sonic's cockiness and confidence for arrogance, making him just brutally unlikable, and that's unfortunately what we get here. I'm not sure if this was just done in the dub by mistake and the sub is much better, but my god, do I not like Sonic in this at all. He lacks any kind of likability or empathy towards others. I think good inspiration that they could have took was from the D cartoons. They did that pretty well, specifically Sad AM and Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. Yes, Adventures is very much so wacky, but with the, I wouldn't say dark tone of the OVA, but the higher stakes, they could have looked at that. And yes, they have annoying voices like Sonic and Tails, but honestly, I don't mind Tails' character that much. I think he's very faithful and very likable. It's just his voice is so annoying, but I don't mind that much.
You know help!
I think Knuckles is a bit bland and he's a little too stupid. With Sonic Boom, he's like actually funny in there. This is just kind of annoying. And I think Eggman's amazing in this. Honestly, one of his best interpretations, if you ignore the weird stuff with Sarah, which just didn't need to be here. This is one of his best interpretations. And the President and Sarah, yeah, they suck. Metal Sonic's super intimidating and really badass. And like I said, that final scene with Metal Sonic and Sonic could have been good, and it shows glimpses of what could have been, but I think that sums everything up with the characters pretty well. Just a lot of missed potential. Once again, not every character in here is bad. There's a lot of good, in fact, some amazing characters in here. But the most important one, they messed up the most, and that just really sucks. Fortunately though, the Sonic movie 2020 didn't make that mistake. In my opinion, I'm gonna get a lot of crap for this, I know, and feel free to disagree, trust me, and I'm not saying this is definitive fact, this is just my opinion. I think this is the greatest interpretation of Sonic the Hedgehog in history. Yes, this is a movie, so it's a little unfair, but you know what? I don't think that matters. If it's a good character, it's a good character. Sonic is actually empathetic. You care for him. He's likable. He's charming. He's not arrogant. He's not a jerk. He's not annoying. Well, he's a little annoying, but they know that.
Still talking.
He's cute and cool at the same time. He's everything Sonic the Hedgehog should be. When that style guide leaked back in 2019 and they said Sonic's character, I was ecstatic. I knew they would get it right based off of that alone. It's exactly who Sonic should be. For the first time in a long time outside of comics, I can say that I genuinely like Sonic's character. Last time I was really able to say this, I'd say Black Knight Unleashed era. Obviously the comics have done a great job with Sonic, and I love Sonic in the comics, but I'm talking more of stuff where Sonic speaks and you can hear him. They just get it so right, and it's the perfect first step for this character. This is a character still growing. This is going to be like a coming of age series. He's not fully developed yet. He's not supposed to be, which is for whatever reason a lot of people's complaints. Like, it's not a mistake that they made. He's supposed to be young and inexperienced. Plus, I don't want to see a perfect character. I want to see somebody who's flawed and suffers from issues. But it's not just Sonic who they get right, they also get Robotnik right, who seem to also be very high on the priority list for them, which obviously he should be. He's the main antagonist. Jim Carrey absolutely crushes it. The character just works so often, and if you get the right person, they could get it right. He's entertaining, he has reasons for being the way he is, he's tortured, he's weird, he's creepy. It's Robotnik, and I love it. Characters like Tom and Maddie aren't nearly as engaging as Sonic or Eggman, which I feel should be expected and also forgiven. They're kind of just a vessel for the audience, which is a really good purpose for them to serve, but they're also just good characters. Yes, Tom is clearly supposed to be played by Paul Rudd, if you just listen to the dialogue.
I'm sorry, Mr. Wachowski, but everyone calls me Tom. Except my dentist, he calls me Tim.
The way he speaks and the mannerisms are just Paul Rudd. But James Marsden does just such a good job at portraying it. He's actually likable, he's funny. And same with Tika Sumpter's portrayal of Maddie. They have great chemistry. I don't think there's a single bad character in here. I like all of the side characters, such as Agent Stone and Adam Pally's character. Same with Natasha Rothwell, she crushes it. I'm sorry, but the Sonic movie 2020 wins this by a landslide, and it's not even close. Now, this actually is probably going to be a lot closer than a lot of you guys might think. I think it goes straight to people's heads that, oh, the Sonic OVA is older, so it's going to lose, but that's not really the case. I have a lot of issues with the Sonic movie 2020 in terms of its technicalities, such as cinematography, direction, etc. But before we get into that, let's talk about the OVA. I think this film is gorgeous. I think the art style is absolutely amazing. I love the lighting. I love the textures. I think the animation is very bad and not my kind of style. It's just very anime where the characters just kind of stand there and float and they use like a single frame. Like, I'm just not a fan of this, you know? Like, look at that. I don't like that. But in terms of the way it's drawn, it looks very pleasing. I've always been a fan of 2D animation, especially within Sonic, and I think this is probably some of the best there is. Also, the OST absolutely bangs. There's some issues with the sound mixing, but I think that just comes with older product, and I think that the OST vocals of the actual actors and sound effects don't blend together too well, which can be very distracting at points, but overall it is very solid technically. Now let's talk about the Sonic movie 2020. Like I just said, I do have issues with it. I think this movie isn't very visually impressive whatsoever. I think the cinematography is absolutely bland. I'm personally a big fan of being shot on film cameras, and this is shot on a digital camera. Not just that, but the color correction is absolutely awful. There is absolutely no vibrancy to it. It's very dull. I think a Sonic the Hedgehog movie should be far more colorful and bright than this. There's nothing very creatively being done with the filmmaking as well. It's just very standard. I'd say my favorite part in terms of the visuals would be the final battle and the baseball scene. Specifically this part right here, like this is a really cool shot. Also, the OST is by an amazing composer, Junkie XL, who has done some of my favorite film scores of the past years. Trust me, this movie sucks, but this score bangs. Mad Max Fury Road, great score. But here, it's nothing crazy. He could have gone all the way out, and I don't think his potential was all the way lived up to. I really hope the second movie improves upon it because the score isn't all that amazing. Unlike the OVA, it does have really good sound editing and mixing, no big issues there. It's just the style is very dull here, and I'm not the biggest fan of it. Thankfully, the story and characters make up for that, but honestly, for this, I'm gonna have to give it to the Sonic the Hedgehog OVA. I just think it's far more visually impressive and it does way more.
What Google say my net is.
I feel like I do have to put this in here because these are Sonic the Hedgehog movies after all, and this is something that a lot of Sonic the Hedgehog fans do take into account. One is very much trying to be its own thing, and the other is trying to be its own thing. The OVA clearly takes a lot of inspiration from past Sonic the Hedgehog media in terms of its architecture. They use a lot of characters, a lot of imagery that symbolizes stuff from other Sonic the Hedgehog games, specifically Sonic CD, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and the Sonic the Hedgehog movie does have that as well, which I feel like a lot of people overlook, including the beautiful Green Hill Zone, Echidna Clan. There are a lot of different nods and references to past Sonic the Hedgehog games and media. There's a lot of Sonic the Hedgehog stuff in the Sonic movie, but the OVA is very much a Sonic movie. I understand when fans say that Sonic movie isn't a Sonic movie, it's just a movie with Sonic in it. I understand where they're coming from, but that doesn't make it bad by any means. A Sonic movie can be a good movie without having to have a bunch of stuff from past media. Then you'll get something actually bad and convoluted. Let it be its own thing. Let it build its own universe. Sonic fans have become understandably so attached to past Sonic the Hedgehog media like different video games and shows, and that's what they're used to with Sonic, so when something new comes around and it's very different, it's not what they think it should be. Which I get, but that's not the way you should go about looking at things when it comes to Sonic, or really anything in general. I'm glad they did their own thing with this. I think this did a great job at setting the groundwork for what can become the best Sonic the Hedgehog universe there's been. With what's coming in the Sonic movie 2, this did a perfect job at setting everything up. And while the OVA does do a great job at having a Sonic the Hedgehog-esque world, it is just another Sonic the Hedgehog world after all. So this might be a surprise, but I'm actually going to split this as a tie. I think both do a great job at doing Sonic in their own new way. Neither is bad. I think they both do a good job at what they're trying to do. Now on the surface, this one might seem obvious. The Sonic OVA has been around for longer, so surely it's have more of an impact on this franchise, fanbase, and the world in general. Well, actually, no. Even the Sonic movie only came out a little over a year ago. I think it's already had a major impact on Sonic and Sega. Well, they verbally have stated and things have been teased about the Sonic movie. How it's changed their thought process, how certain decisions have been made with the Sonic brand because of it, such as making more multimedia products. Sonic Prime was put into full swing once the movie was a huge success. A Sonic movie sequel is on the way. Heck, there's gonna be Sonic movie content in Sonic Colors Ultimate and maybe even other Sonic games after it. Maybe the Sonic movie franchise will get its own game, you never know. Clearly, Sega, Paramount, and a lot of fans are very happy about the Sonic movie's success, and it's already impacted the franchise greatly and will for the next couple of decades. I think this is really great and shows. The OVA was originally produced in 1996 and released in 1999, which is cool that it did manage to get a re-release a couple years later, but once when it was released, it was kind of thrown to the wayside. I think the fan base still has a lot of respect for it, but in the grand scheme of things, this is largely forgotten. Not only because it was straight to DVD, but also the quality of it maybe wasn't something Sega and a lot of companies really wanted to show off. It's just not that good in the grand scheme of things, which should bring us to our conclusion. Was this a blowout? Yeah, it was. If I could give an analogy, I'd say the Sonic movie 2020 scored touchdown after touchdown, with the OVA getting a field goal and maybe a safety late in the fourth quarter. Alright, enough of the football talk. In terms of what makes a good film, especially for the film it is, I think the Sonic the Hedgehog movie 2020 exceeds exponentially. And it has a very solid foundation and theming around its story, being held up by the very solid structures of their characters, such as Sonic, Robotnik, and characters like Tom and Maddie. It's a very character-driven story, which is what it needed to be, and it makes it far more engaging. You have to like the characters and be invested in them, and with the Sonic OVA, you're kind of just thrust in not really knowing who they are. Sonic fans, yes, you'll know who they are, but for a general movie-going audience, there's no exposition or anything about them that you really know. You're not very attached. It's not just the characters that are a big issue in the Sonic OVA, but also the story. It's very convoluted and messy and doesn't make a whole lot of sense, which I know probably also stems from it being two parts and also it having a dub. But it does have a lot of things going for it, such as its art style and music. While some of the finer technical filmmaking aspects of Sonic movie and the weird pacing do hold it back a little bit, it is still a very solid picture, and I find an immense amount of charm and enjoyment in it. It's not the best movie of 2020, not even close, and it's not even one of my favorite movies of all time. But for a Sonic the Hedgehog movie, it is exactly what I wanted, a movie about Sonic the Hedgehog. And they had a great Sonic the Hedgehog. It deserves every bit of success it had, and I'm so glad to see where it goes in the future. Yes, I believe that the Sonic movie 2020 is the superior Sonic movie, and it's not even close. If you like the OVA, that is completely fine, and if you prefer it over the Sonic movie 22, that is fine too. You're allowed to have your own opinion, and I'm not holding that against you whatsoever. Everybody's allowed to like what they enjoy. This is just what I think makes for the better movie, personally. I'm just excited that there's a very successful Sonic movie franchise right now, and to see where it goes in the future. Will the Sonic movie sequel be able to live up to the first one? Well, we'll have to wait and see. All I know is that the future Sonic is looking very bright, and we owe a lot of that to the Sonic the Hedgehog movie.